photo editing for a lot of people is a whole half of the photography process. It plays a huge role in how your images look in the end, and there's a lot of people who can make their photos just that much better, but they seem to disregard it. Editing photos is also a lot of fun because it's usually where your unique style and looks of the photo come in. So today I'm going to be showing you how I edit some of my photos in Lightroom and how I bring them from looking like this to looking like this. But before we start, keep in mind that this is only my process and how I edit my photos, but there are so many ways to edit photos, so definitely feel free to edit the photos however you want and add your touch to them. Okay, so before we start editing, we first have to import our photos into Lightroom. So usually the way I have things set up is I put my photos in my own folder and then I just drag and drop them to Lightroom. So right here we conveniently have this folder right here. So we're going to open Lightroom and I have a new catalog going, and I'm just going to drag and drop these photos right into here. So I have these 3 photos. You can always select which ones you want, which ones you don't want. Okay, so now we're going to click import right here and just wait. Okay, now they're imported. So this is just our library tab where we can see everything going on in all of our photos, take a quick look. But we're going to want to go to the develop tab right here, and this is where all of your editing is going to happen. We have our 3 photos right here. We can see right now all of them are vertical, so we're going to fix that. So what I usually do is I go to my photo right here and I click command right bracket or control, automatically rotates your photo. Super nice. So we're going to do that on all 3. Yeah, and you can use your arrow keys to scroll through these photos down here, or you can always just click them. So we have this photo right here. This is like a picture of a car I took at a car show. It looks pretty cool, I like it. I always like to crop my photo first. This is something I put on Instagram. So for Instagram, the best crop is usually a 4:5, and I kind of like it, so I'm going to use that. A lot of my photos I like to really crop in. So this photo, we have this space right here, and then we have the trees. I don't really like that, so I'm going to really crop in on this one. I'm going to bring it to about there. So there we go. I'm already liking that crop a lot more. Okay, so what I usually like to do is I like to go from top to bottom. So these are all of the adjustments you're going to make in Lightroom for your final photo. We're going to start with basic. Now, the number 1 tip I can give you in editing photos is that less is more. You do not want to over edit your photos, and everyone does it at some point. You just want to blast that contrast, saturation, clarity. You want to just blast everything to the max, and you might think it looks good, but trust me, it's not gonna look good. A lot of the times it ends up looking super fake, overdone. You want things to be nice and subtle, and you don't want someone to think about it standing out. So first we're going to look at our temperature. The temperature really changes your photo. A tip is if you double click on any slider, it resets. I don't know, I might just leave it where it's at right now. I think that's pretty good. And now we can see on our exposure, I'm not going to go in depth on this. This video is probably already getting long. So this is our histogram. Basically, when stuff is skewed to the left, it's generally underexposed. You want that little cliff thing to be more towards the middle. So I'm going to just bring the exposure up a little bit, but not too much. Contrast, I usually just leave this the same. So I'm going to bring the highlights down. This is what I usually like to do to preserve detail. I bring the highlights down a little bit, shadows up. Remember, you don't want to overdo this. Whites up a little bit, blacks down. That will give it the contrast. And another tip is if your camera supports it, shoot your photos in RAW. You can always find a video on that because it really gives you way more flexibility in the edit than if you're shooting with like a JPEG or something. So just keep that in mind. This photo needs only a little bit of tweaking, so I think that's pretty good. Then we're going to go to our tone curve. So I'm not going to go in depth on this again, but basically the left side here is your shadows. This controls the darkest parts of your photo, and the top controls the very brightest parts of your photo. And the standard thing to usually do is just an S curve. So I click a point right there, that's towards the shadows, and I just bring that down a little bit, bring the highlights up, And like I said, this is like your standard thing, just a little bit. One style I like to add to all my photos is I take the very bottom point, these are the deepest blacks in my photo, and I just bring them up a little bit. So if you bring it way up, you can see what it's doing. It gives it like a faded film look. So I'm just gonna bring it up a little bit. You don't want to overdo that. It adds a nice little touch to it. The color tab is where you can really start making big differences in your photos. So something I like to do to give it a way more dramatic vibe, I usually will take the greens. So we can click on the greens right here, by the way. So I'm gonna have the hue a little more, this is like maybe a candy green type of thing, and this is like a yellow basically. So I'm gonna set this a little towards the candy green side. I'm gonna take my saturation, I'm gonna just take it down by a lot. I just like doing it, it's a style thing. I'll just take it down like that much. Then my luminance, so I'm gonna take the luminance down a little bit, and saturation. And now we have a pretty nice dramatic photo, which I like. A really good tip is when you want to look at the before and after, hit the backslash key on your keyboard under the delete key, and then you can see before and after. And you can see on this photo, I guess it really didn't make a massive difference. But yeah, that's a nice subtle difference right there. And we can always go back and tweak things. What I usually like to do at this point is add on a radial filter. What you do is you click this button right here, drag it, make a circle. I like to just make it kind of big like that, and then I bring the exposure down. And by default, what it's going to do, you can see it brings the exposure of the outside of the circle down. I'm just going to bring it down a little bit, and then I right click this, duplicate, and move it a little bit so that way I can see both of my filters right here. And then I click invert right here. Click that, and now it inverted this one, so I can do the opposite, bring the middle part up. It'll make the photo more focused on the middle. Usually you want to make your photo really focusing on the part you want to look at. So I want the viewer, whoever's looking at this, their eye to be drawn to this part. And we can see these leaves right here a little distracting. This is another really useful filter, the graduated filter. So you can drag right there, click this button, show selected mask overlay. This shows whatever you're selecting in red. If it's inverted, like if it's on this side, just rotate it by dragging that. And then I just bring the exposure of that side. Maybe make this a little bigger so that it covers more. And I just bring that exposure down a little bit. That way it kind of makes this less distracting. So now if we look at the before and after, it's a pretty big difference. So yeah, there's that photo. I'm gonna really quickly go through the two other photos. Okay, what's up guys? This is Editor Anthony here, editing the video that you're seeing right now. And I just really quickly wanted to let you guys know that this video is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends, the best online mobile RPG game. Okay, just kidding. This video is not sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends, God no. However, on the Discord server that I made with Trent, we did a photography contest recently just for fun, and our boy Evan won the contest. He took some great photos on his phone. The other photos were taken on like DSLR cameras, and he took some great photos on his phone, and they were impressive. So you should definitely check out his Instagram in the description to see the photos he took. But yeah, if you want us to do another photography contest, definitely join our Discord server so that you can participate. Alright, back to the video. Okay, so just gonna get this photo, gonna crop it. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. And then we're gonna do our basic edits, bring it up a little bit. So I'm gonna bring the highlights down a lot, and we can already see it's recovering a lot of that sunset. I'm gonna bring the shadows up, the blacks down to add in some contrast. And this time I'm gonna bring the whites down a little bit. So I'm gonna bring the temperature up a lot. Then tone curve, do that same S curve. Okay, color. This can make a difference. So I'm gonna bring the yellow. I'm gonna make that more red sort of. So we have him right here, and I'm gonna bring the circle right there. Do our same little thing. So we can see the before and after, and I mean, look at that. That's just a huge difference. And if you didn't edit your photo, you wouldn't get that. Like, that's a massive difference right there. And that was all done like pretty quickly. I mean, usually I would put way more time into this, but this is just really quick for the video, and I mean, it makes a huge difference. So if you take photos, you should definitely edit them. But yeah, I think this video is getting really long, so I think I'm gonna end it here. Thank you so much for watching. As always, leave a like. Well, yeah, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.